Captain needs 5x5. Captain.
This all feels like a dream. So if anyone tries to pitch me, I will smack them in the face.
Dust off complete. Aim point reached. Orbit stable.
Welcome to
I picked up something you might be interested in.
Oh, is that so, Sarah?
To Venus?
You have anything interesting for me, Sarah?
I do. You must have read my mind.
You just told me. Some sap. Thank you.
Talk to you later.
Welcome to New Homestead. Please make your way to the building at the end of the path and down into the colony below. Stay safe and enjoy your visit.
Interesting. The last thing I expected to stumble across at this type of settlement is a museum. Might be worth a look around.
Luther's been bothering anyone with the ship for help.
Does Luther want?
Hello. New Homestead is a living history exhibit.
There. Now you're here.
What did we think of the tour?
Very informative. I didn't know about the methane harvesters before coming here.
The, Brown Horse Tavern, was it, huh? The food was better than I expected from a backwoods planet like this.
It has a quaint charm, doesn't it?
Just like the rest of New Homestead.
Well, I hope you'll come back and see us again sometime. And I hope you'll consider another Star Sap tour. Tell your friends.
I will. Thanks again.
Hi, Bill.
Excuse me, Bill. You've got to do a better job of keeping your tour groups out of trouble.
What do you mean?
That little boy almost wound up on my operating table. Claudio said he was playing with some of the machinery down by the mines and nearly got his arm stuck inside. It could have been ripped off.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know, kids, little troublemakers. I'll tell the guests to be more careful.
Damn right. You've got to do something, or else next time it happens, I'm billing you personally.
Yeesh. Why, hello there! I'm Bill Starsap of Starsap Tours. Let me tell you, this place is full of history and interesting facts. For instance, did you know that New Homestead was one of the first colonies established outside of Earth? It's been populated in some capacity for over 200 years.
That's interesting. I'd love to know more about New Homestead.
Well, there's plenty more where that came from if you're interested in taking one of my famous tours. So what do you say? I've got an opening. I could take you on a tour right now if you'd like.
What do you recommend seeing while I'm here? Anything to avoid?
Definitely check out the Brown Horse Tavern. Good food, great atmosphere. Avoid spending too much time outdoors. It's freezing out there. Any more than that, and I'd be giving away the tour for free.
Why would someone want a tour of New Homestead?
Why would I want a tour of New Homestead, he says. Well, let me tell you, New Homestead is living history. These people are direct descendants of some of the first settlers to leave Earth. If you've ever wanted to know what that early colonial life was like, this is your chance to embark on a fun-filled exhibition unlike any other.
No offense, but Starsap is an unusual name. Sounds almost made up.
None taken. I get it all the time. If you think it sounds made up, well, that's because it is. I come from an eccentric family. Back in the early days of space travel, generations ago, my ancestors were really into science fiction. They wanted a name that seemed like it fit into the stories they grew up with, so they changed their last name, and the Starsap family name was born. Used to be Bramblefoot before that. Their ancestors liked a different type of fiction.
Okay, I'd like to go on a tour of New Homestead.
Excellent! You won't regret it! My tours are one of a kind! Now, there's just the matter of price. The going rate for a genuine Starsap tour is only 100 credits.
I'd like to, but that's more than I was hoping to spend.
Well, 100 credits is very reasonable, I think.
I'm sure your tour is great, but you haven't really sold me on it.
That's okay. This tour isn't for everyone, I know that, but my price is fair, and I think it's well worth the money. No one's forcing you to go on it.
I could just go take a tour by myself, you know.
True. Hey, tell you what, I might be able to lower the price for you. Just let me think about it.
You kind of pulled a bait and switch on me.
I assure you it wasn't intentional. I really should have been upfront about the price. I thought maybe you saw one of the flyers. Maybe I could do something for you. Tell you what, I like you. This one's on the house, but if you enjoyed the tour, I'd really appreciate if you'd tell all your friends about me when it's done. So let's get this show on the road, eh? Have any questions so far?
How many people live here?
I'm not sure the exact count, but New Homestead is a fairly small colony. What you see is what you get for the most part, except for some other people who live in the private lower levels. Some, particularly security, and yours truly, even commute from other worlds.
Can you tell me more about how people lived before this was all built?
The original Titan Astrobase had more habitation pods on the surface connected to some of the old structures you may have seen in the back. As the colony grew, the base was expanded underground, and those hab units were recycled into materials used down here.
The overflow area looks cramped. What's with that?
Sadly, it's difficult to get additional construction done inside these underground caverns. So for now, additional populations are housed in these stacks of old shipping crates. As you might expect, this is where some of the less wealthy can afford to live. It's not glamorous, but they are functional and cozy.
I'd like to check this out in more detail.
Oh, sure, I'll be here waiting. The locals love to talk with tourists, but they'll let you know if they're busy. So please respect them.
That tour guide showed one of the kids a picture of some silly drawing he saw in Sidonia. Now I feel like it's popping up everywhere.
I still can't believe people actually live like this.
Meteorites. Natural space debris like asteroids and meteorites routinely enters planetary or moon atmospheres to impact the surface below. When a meteor survives its journey through the atmosphere and makes impact, the result is a meteorite, such as the one seen in these display cases. Displayed to the left, polished and rounded piece of the Gibeon meteorite, which impacted Earth 600 million years ago. Displayed ahead from left to right, carbonaceous chondrite meteorite, which impacted Titan about 250 million years ago. Piece of the Dronino meteorite, which is believed to have impacted Earth more than 1,200 years ago. NASA, one of several Earth-based space agencies, was instrumental in humankind's earliest journeys into space. Indeed, it was due to the efforts of NASA that saw a new home in Homestead exist. In 2017, NASA sent an unmanned probe to Titan, which paved the way for the development of the Titan Astrobase, completed in 2130. By 2185, the Titan Astrobase project was transitioned into the colony of New Homestead. From left to right, NASA prototype rocket, NASA branded mug, Vostok 1, USSR space program, Space Shuttle Discovery, Apollo 11, collectible snow globes, items on loan from NASA.
Have any questions so far? Hey, thanks for stopping by.
HMS Beagle, scale model of the HMS Beagle, originally constructed for the British Navy as a war vessel and first launched in 1820. This Cherokee-class brig sloop was most famous for transporting renowned scientist Charles Darwin during his famous worldwide research voyage in 1831 to 1836. Cool. RV Calypso, scale model of the RV Calypso, originally commissioned by the British Royal Navy as a minesweeper vessel and launched in 1942. It was later repurposed by famed Earth oceanographic researcher Jacques Cousteau in 1950. Cousteau dedicated his life to exploring Earth's oceans further and deeper than anyone before. During his expeditions, he formed a deeper understanding of the sea's fragile ecosystems and became an advocate for ocean preservation.
I'm learning so much here. Everyone should visit at least once in their life.
Young lady?
Ice hockey stick used on Earth in the city of Edmonton, Canada during a 1988 championship game. Ice hockey is a contact sport played in an ice rink where two teams would with 5 players and 2 goaltenders, called goalies, compete to deposit a rubberized puck in the other team's goal. The players traverse the rink on specialized shoes mounted on thin metal blades called ice skates, and manipulate the puck with specialized curved sticks, such as the one displayed here.
Was just
Miscellaneous Earth knickknacks from left to right. Unknown decorative liquor bottle brought from Earth to New Homestead during its original mission. Electronic pipes used to inhale various legal substances during early New Homestead colonial times. Equinoctial dial brought to New Homestead by one of the original settlers as a family heirloom. Original construction around 1800. Scroll case of unknown date and time. Date and origin. Believed to have once been a sacred relic. This old scroll case likely predates any synthetic item in the museum. The scroll itself has been lost to time.
You maybe had, you know, if someone maybe...
Hey, Kate, you don't have to be nervous about asking me.
It's supposed to be vape.
Well, you don't have a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's one thing to learn about early colony life. It's another to experience it.
Various Earth sports photos and memorabilia. From left to right. Championship Baseball, Boston, Massachusetts, 1978. Game-winning Soccer Ball, International League, 2018. Basketball used by the United States World Champion Basketball Team, 1992. Record-setting home run baseball, 1935.
Thank you, Jay.
Commercial reproductions of Earth fauna. Throughout human history, replicas of Earth animals were used in many different ways, from toys and games to more practical uses, such as these items. Big Bank left. As far back as the 15th century, hollowed-out ceramic statue of an animal known as pig were popularly used to store physical currency. Decoy duck right, waterfowl known as ducks, were once hunted near Earth's marshes for sport and food using ballistic rifles. To facilitate this activity, hunters would often place wooden decoy ducks in the water and use a small woodwind instrument to produce an accompanying call resembling that of the duck in order to lure it in.
I don't know what to say.
Don't worry about it. You just keep on being you. Hey, got any fancy trinkets you want to offload?
Boy, am I glad they have it chunks here. There are times I envy those who are able to travel like
You're making things harder for yourself.
Stop, in the name of the law. Hold it right there. You're under arrest.
Just trying to pick it up. I'll pay the fine.
Smart move. Now come along with us. We'll take any contraband and stolen property, and you'll be free to go.
Things have been pretty quiet around here lately. Usually means someone's up to something.
Crime's at an all-time low around Sedonia.
choose to not welcome you with fireworks when you arrive in space. At a bare minimum, a shooting star would be nice. Do you think the documentary about your life will be made into a movie?
And we're done.
For too long here on Titan. You'll freeze solid without the proper
Hello there. The music.
Sort of Earth Media, clockwise from bottom left. Book, Tales from Space and Time H.G. Wells, 1899. On the Origin of Species, Charles Darwin, 1859. Frankenstein, Mary Shelley, 1818. Portable Compact Disc Player, 1993. Sailing Around the World, Joshua Slocum, 1900. Videotape, 1976.
Here is free to everyone.
Range of antique Earth computers ranging from the late 1980s to the mid-2000s. Computers have existed in some form since Charles Babbage's difference engine in 1822. The years from the mid-20th century into the early 21st century were known for some of the greatest advances in computing technology as computers shrank from gigantic room-sized devices filled with vacuum tubes to small boxes filled with microprocessors, like the ones you see here. Antique instrument of unknown origin, Earth, believed to be of West African origin, possibly a type of ngoni, a harp-like string instrument traditionally used in ceremonies accompanied with chanting and storytelling. This instrument was generously donated to the New Homestead Museum, but its true origin is unfortunately lost to time.
You don't want to get hurt or sick around here. Dr. Lakota doesn't care for tourists.
Have any questions so far?
I think I'm ready for whatever's next.
Alrighty. We'll be taking the residential elevator to the farms area on the surface level. This way, please. Let's leave these good people alone for now and go check out the farms. Follow me up the elevator.
We live a simple life on New Homestead, but make no mistake, it's fulfilling.
Oh, you don't really want to talk to me. I'm just a nobody from the crates. Besides, I'm not really good at talking to tourists about New Homestead. If you're really interested in our history, talk to Maurice. He's a lot better at that than I am.
I love to talk with you, really.
You do? I mean, sure. I don't know what I can tell you, but if you want to talk, I don't have anything else I need to do right now.
How do you feel about your home being a tourist destination?
It's not as bad as you'd think. I like talking to off-worlders, especially people my age. It gives me ideas for what I want to do when I'm done with school. Because, honestly, I'm not sure I want to stay here. It'll always be my home, but as soon as I can afford to, I'd love to explore my options.
What do you do here in New Homestead?
Well, I'm trying to finish up my undergrad schooling, actually. I want to be a physicist like my grandmother. Then, who knows what. But I also do some odd jobs here or there for money. Sometimes I help Jay out at his shop, and he gives me stuff in return. Sometimes I help Anya clean up at the Brown Horse when she's short-staffed. That sort of thing.
You mentioned something about the crates? What's that?
The crates are what we call the living quarters for the poor people, like me. They're made from old shipping containers. We have to make do with the space we have here. They're comfortable enough, I guess. And no one on Titan is well off to begin with, but you can tell that people look down on us, especially some of the tourists.
So you're having trouble with your studies?
Okay, well, no. Not the studies specifically. Like, I get good grades when I'm able to apply myself. But I'm poor. I just don't have the kind of money to be a full-time student and support myself. Even living in the cheap-ass crates. I keep having to take odd jobs just to put food on my plate. And when I do, my grades suffer. I just feel like I'll be stuck in a rut forever.
You can be successful without finishing school. You may just need to get out of New Homestead.
Really? I thought it was the only way. I remember my parents telling me that when they were still around. But maybe you're right. I guess I can put my studies on hold, at least until I get enough credits saved up to live on. I can always return to my studies then. Maybe part of the reason I feel I've been stuck in a rut is because I push myself too hard. Thanks for the advice. It helped.
I'm sure she appreciates the advice, but I think actual funds would have been a bit more helpful. Maybe another time.
Ask your opinion.
Thanks for saying what you said to me. Okay, well, no. But I keep having to take...
Consider this a scholarship.
What? Really? I don't know what to say. This is beyond kind of you. I mean, I don't even know you, but... Wow. Thank you.
I'm pleased that you realize the importance of a decent education. Time to go?
Things have been tough since Mom left and Dad died. I'm very alone here, but I'm hanging in there. Dad was never quite the same after she left. And Mom, well, I'm glad she's gone. I never seemed good enough for her, and her new boyfriend was kind of a jerk. I'm finishing up school and then hopefully I can get out of here too. But it's hard because even though my classes cost next to nothing, I still have lots of expenses and I barely have enough to eat. I only earn scraps from Jay and Anja. It's not like they have tons of credits either. Because I have to take time away from my studies, my grades suffer. It sucks. Why is everything so hard? How do other people do this? No one around here has really gone to college except for Dr. Lakota and maybe that new lady Joyce. Dr. Lakota doesn't really have time for me. And the few times I went for advice, she was just like, stick with it, kid. You'll get there if you put in the work. I don't know what to do. I thought writing it down would help, but now I just have a place I can remember how bad I feel right now. So that's cool.
Off-worlders always ask how I can live here. I wonder how they can live anywhere else.
I'm not sure that these space frog pictures fit with our town's historical aesthetic, but they do bring a smile to my face.
Charity and a Goddess Universe, Part 3. Amelia Sagan, Part 3. When I was 19 years old, my church decided it was time to leave. The announcement was filled with phrases like fresh start and renewal. Apparently our settlement had taken in too many non-believers. The congregation would pack up and build a new colony on a distant world, a place without outsiders, where their faith could become the law. Cowards, you're running away. I begged my family not to leave. These people came here for our help. If we take their generations, how will the rest of the colony survive? To most of my community, these arguments made no difference. They could only see the outsiders as outsiders, non-believers, who were preventing them from living a pure life. These people have been coming here since you were a little girl, my father told me. One night, they had nearly 20 years to hear the word of God. But that's not what they want. We will leave them to their lives, and they should leave us to ours. Word traveled quickly through the poor parts of the settlement as the departure day neared. The other colonists became desperate. Protests were coming outside the church buildings and outside of our starport, where a large ark-like ship was being constructed. Finally, on departure day, dozens of colonists gathered at the entrance to the starport. They blocked the church from entering, 100 gaunt faces against 100 blue robes. But the group was no match for the church's security forces. That team cleared a path, and the congregation boarded their ark. The crowd could only watch as the ship roared to life and then vanished into the sky. I stood in that crowd, watched as well. I could not bring myself to leave. Any faith which abandons the helpless was a faith I could not believe in. A loving God who inspired such cruelty must not be real. I would stay behind for whatever came next.
I know you didn't have to give me money, but thanks. I appreciate it.
New Homestead is a living history exhibit, but these are real people, so please be kind to them.
Here you go.
New Homestead's farms are the beating heart of the colony. Without them, the original
You all can travel
outpost
the
would have
stars,
shriveled and
but
died.
someone's got to respect
These
preserving
pods
solar
are
species.
sealed and climate controlled, the perfect environment for growing the hydroponic vegetation needed for survival in the early days of the colony.
Cooking over at the Brown Horse.
Any questions about the farms?
How's this different than anywhere else in the galaxy?
Good question. It's largely the same, because this was the colony that pioneered the techniques you see elsewhere. But you'll notice that the farms here are smaller and staffed by humans, not robots. Things here are a little more old-fashioned compared to some of the large factory farms you'll find elsewhere in the settled systems.
What did they grow here?
These days, it's a mix of what you find elsewhere in the galaxy, but in the olden days, it was all brought over from Earth. It was a lot of hardy root vegetables like potatoes, carrots, beets, and such, supplemented with corn, peas, green beans, soy, etc., which didn't always grow as well.
Are the farms still operational?
Oh, they are indeed. Colonists still cultivate plant-based food for their own consumption here in New Homestead. It's less vital to their survival these days, as they also import supplemental food from other colonies, including meats, dairy, and synthetics. However, most citizens here take pride in a New Homestead-grown, sustainable diet.
I'm ready to move on.
Onward it is! We'll be stopping by the Brown Horse Tavern later in the tour, which uses many of these locally sourced ingredients in their cooking. But for now, it's just a short way to our next stop. Follow me! So, the old biolabs are just on the other side of this building, believe it or not. We'll step on through the hallway there. They're not in use anymore, but the colony has faithfully recreated them as a historical exhibit, true to the original purpose of the Titan Astrobase. Sadly, they're undergoing some light renovation. Otherwise, there'd be interactive activities for kids to learn about how they used to search for microbial life here. Pardon the dust, but I can still answer some questions about the old Titan Astrobase biolabs.
You keep mentioning the Titan Astrobase. What is that?
Oh, I'm sorry. I completely forgot to mention that. That's what this place was originally called. When NASA divested its interest in the Astrobase and turned it over to the people back in 2185, they renamed it New Homestead and established it as a historical site.
What kind of life did they find here?
Funny you should ask! Sadly, none. See, NASA funded the Titan Astrobase project because conditions seemed ripe for primordial life to form in Titan's methane pools. They tested many different sites, performed deep core ice drilling, and more, yet nothing turned up.
So, that was it? What did they use these labs for after no life was found?
Well, NASA defunded the xenobiology program in 2132, but a scientist by the name of Catherine Neely proposed research into advanced colony building on inhospitable worlds. So, by 2135, work began on what would ultimately set us all up to create habitats anywhere humans dared to explore. These very labs housed the computer systems used in that research. That and general storage for the colony. Lots of storage.
I'm going to take a closer look.
Sure thing. Keep in mind the Biolabs exhibit is closed for visitors, but I'll be waiting if you need a minute anyway.
If you need medical attention, see Dr. Lakota. But a word of warning, she will bring
Pardon the dust, but I can still it.
It's okay, we can keep moving.
You got it. On to our next stop. Next, we'll be heading outside, so make sure to check those seals on your suit because it's a bit chilly out there. We're going out into the frozen wastes of Titan to see what powers this planet. Watch your step outside, by the way. The ice can be slippery if you're not careful. The goal is to keep people out of Dr. Lakota's infirmary.
Anyway, where were we? Oh, yeah. Powering New Homestead. As you might imagine, generating energy was a real challenge back in the day because the technology was much more crude then. But crude or not, it was that technology that sustained the old Astro base. And it might surprise you to learn that the same technology is still working today. The interesting thing about this old colony is that it's mostly powered by clean, renewable energy. You'll see one of the methods used on the horizon up ahead. That's right, New Homestead's famous wind farm. This spot was chosen for the colony in part because of its constant winds.
I wonder what weapons work.
These turbines have been integral to the colony's function since its establishment as a cheap, mostly reliable source of electricity. So, let's talk about wind power, shall we?
I didn't think Titan was all that windy.
You're right. Most surface wind on Titan isn't too terribly strong, but here, the altitude and other conditions are perfect for sustained wind power. Like many worlds with atmosphere, the higher you go, the windier it gets.
What's so interesting about wind power? Why is it part of the tour?
You're looking at a piece of history. Sure, wind power is used throughout the galaxy, but these people were able to make do with it for hundreds of years. It's impressive that was all they had back then, and still make it work to this day.
Do these turbines really power the entire colony?
Mostly. I'm sure you've noticed the occasional brownouts. I guess these old machines have a habit of freezing up, what with all the ice out here. There's some methane on reserve for critical life support systems, but everything else here is otherwise powered by the units you see here.
I want to take a closer look.
Absolutely. Careful, though. I wouldn't stand too close to the turbines if I were you. So, let's talk about wind power, shall we?
Actually, I'd like to move on.
You're the boss. Let's go. Moving right along, we're going to learn about Titan's great natural resources. Titan is rich with hydrocarbons like methane and ethane. Surely you saw huge pools of the stuff on your descent into New Homestead. I like to think they add to the natural beauty of this world. Though, of course, stay away from them because, like anything beautiful, they can be dangerous. just like my last ex-wife's pet. She had this gorgeous, I don't know what you'd call it, creature. The guy that sold it to her couldn't tell her what it was or where it was from. I don't think it was even a legal sell, to be honest. The thing was very easy on the eyes. Feathers, all the colors of the rainbow. Nasty fight, though. Wound up in the hospital and almost lost my hand. Still not enough for her to get rid of the dang thing. Anyway, there's a reason she's my ex-wife. But enough about me. We were talking about methane and other resources, right? Hey, can you believe it? Back in the 20th century on Earth, they used to fight wars over natural resources like this and petroleum. They had this whole moon here basically made of hydrocarbons in their own backyard. They just couldn't get to it. Incredible how far we've come. New Homestead is home to one of the oldest and largest methane processing plants in the settled systems. Every year, UC engineers go through a painstaking, month-long maintenance process. That's how this place has remained operational as long as it has. I'm not going to take you too close to the machinery, liability and all, but I can still answer questions. Questions? Fire away!
How can they shut the plant down for maintenance if people rely on it to live?
Yeah, it's not as if they shut down for a month. It's not shut down at all, actually. See, this place is built with redundant systems, so they can shut it down piece by piece and suffer only a reduction in throughput. During that time, the UC gets more of its resources from other places, allowing New Homestead to maintain what it needs.
What can they do with all this methane?
Exports mostly. Since this world is so methane rich and has the infrastructure for it, a lot of the UC's methane comes from Titan. Of course, New Homesteaders use it themselves for everything from generating heat to turning it into breathable oxygen via modern science.
Wait, how do they turn methane into oxygen?
Oh, no one's ever asked me that before. Something to do with methane-eating microbes, I believe? I honestly don't know. Sorry.
No more questions, right?
Okie dokie, artichoke. There will be time for more later anyway. So, this next stop is a bit of an interesting one. I only recently made it part of the tour. Fun fact, it's also the only natural landmark on the tour. What we're about to see is a glacial spire we affectionately call Ymir's Horn. This colus used to be named after a character in a popular fantasy novel, but it was changed a couple hundred years ago to avoid any potential litigation. Now, what's a colus, you might say? Colus derives from the Latin word for hill, and scientists only gave names to groups of hills on a planet's surface. So in reality, the term you hear more often is the plural, coles, with an E. You probably don't hear it very often where you're from, because it was usually a term reserved for unexplored planets, back when they didn't have the technology to describe what they were seeing firsthand. Because of that, the term is much more common in the Sol system, but you may still hear it occasionally in reference to uncharted worlds. This planet's full of them, though, and they like to preserve that history here. So here it is, Ymir's Horn. You're free to take a closer look if you like.
Ymir. Who's that?
According to ancient Norse mythology, Ymir was the first Jotun, a frost giant. In the legend, they were both male and female and gave birth to the progenitors of all giants from their armpits. Ymir even predated the Norse gods, who, as it turns out, killed Ymir to fashion the earth and all of humanity from the corpse. It's a fascinating story, and the horn here is a fitting tribute to it.
How did this colossus form?
I've heard this particular formation was caused by an ancient volcano. Something about steam and wind, then worn down over time. But I'm not 100% sure.
I think I'm done here.
Excellent. On to the next stop, then. So, we're gonna head back inside through the methane processing plant. Try not to touch anything on your way. We want to make sure to respect Dr. Lakota's wishes to be safer around here. That brings me to another point. You'll notice the people around here have last names related to where their families originated from on Earth, as a way to remember the past. The museum curator, Maurice Leon, has more information about that if you're interested. You can find him inside the main concourse. Loves talking about it. You'll find most of the locals here are very friendly to tourists like yourself. Tourism is a major draw to this colony these days, and I respect that. Most of them are happy to talk at length about what they do here. Their rugged lifestyle is a point of pride for a lot of these folks.
Someone's got to talk to Joyce about these brownouts.
This area we're walking through is the nerve center of the plant, where technicians keep an eye on the operation. Since methane production is such an important part of the colony's life, it's important that the techs notice any issues and react to them quickly. Anyway, we're headed into the ice mines. It's a natural spring where water bubbles up from deep below, but due to the cold, it keeps freezing as it reaches the surface.
I don't mind the tourists. They help the local economy.
You're on your own.
Wow. I was not expecting that.
must be difficult trying to survive when this collection of shipping containers is all you have for permanent accommodations.
What else can I tell you about the ice mines?
Is this where all New Homestead's water comes from?
Not all. Some water is created as a byproduct of methane processing, but that's usually saved in the emergency reserves.
Why not heat the area like the rest of the colony?
Good question. I believe it has something to do with not wanting to contaminate the water with methane and other chemicals. The ice helps prevent impurities in the water. At least this is what I've been told.
I'm thirsty. Can I drink straight from the source?
I wouldn't recommend it. First, it's an active work site. Second, it still needs to be filtered and checked for contaminants. But don't worry, we'll stop somewhere for refreshments before the tour is over.
I want to go look around some more.
Of course. Watch your step. It can get slick around here. I'll stay behind.
Let's see if I can.
What else can I tell you about the ice mines?
I don't need to know any more about the ice mines. I'm ready to go.
Sounds good. Let's keep going then. We have just one more stop before we're done with the tour, and it just happens to be my favorite. This colony is home to the longest running establishment still in existence, the Brown Horse Tavern. The Brown Horse started as a simple mess hall for the scientists and workers when the underground was built, but it's been operated by the same family ever since. Now, what's a horse, you might say? They were a large four-legged animal on Earth, often used for transportation or manual labor. Long before space travel was even a dream for the folks of Earth, even before antique machines like automobiles were possible, horses could be found everywhere. You might have seen them in old movies or read about them somewhere. If not, I highly recommend looking into them sometime.
People actually
They're
live like
beautiful animals. The tavern's original owner was infatuated with them, from what I understand, and named the place in their honor. The moniker, Brown Horse Tavern, is also a throwback to names of similar Earth restaurants hundreds of years before it was established.
Oh, the tourists hated that. Well, Joyce says she's on it. Something about the turbines freezing up again.
Joyce is great at what she does. I'm sure
Ice mining operations are unusual, but if they're run properly, they can prove to be quite lucrative.
That delicious smell is making me hungry. Can I answer anything about the Brown Horse?
How could this possibly be the oldest restaurant in the settled systems?
Easy. All the other ones fell to ruin when we abandoned Earth. There were technically older ones on Mars, but those have long since shuttered or been replaced.
Any menu recommendations?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I honestly love everything Anya serves here. I'd be doing her a disservice to recommend one dish over another. You want the real answer? Order one of everything.
What can you tell me about the owner?
Anya Seattle is the current owner of the Brown Horse. It's been in the Seattle family for generations. But Anya will be able to tell you more herself. Feel free to ask her. It doesn't feel right coming from me when she's standing right over there.
I'm not ready to move on yet.
Oh yeah, by all means. Stop in for a moment.
Why not order some food and make yourself comfortable? Welcome, I'm Anya. Is this your first time with us at the Brown Horse Tavern?
Yes, I've never been here before.
Oh, well, thank you for joining us. You're in for a real treat. We've got an assortment of food and drinks, some of which follow homemade recipes that have been passed down over hundreds of years. So, what can I do for you?
I saw the Chunks restaurant out there. Does it hurt your business?
Oh, hardly. The locals pretty much stay away from Chunks, so whenever they don't feel like cooking themselves and want a fresh meal, they come to me. Only the tourists eat that junk. But don't tell that to my husband. He manages the Chunks. I love him, but he's a bit of a fanatic about it.
What is this place?
You mean the Brown Horse? Well, it's only the longest continuous running restaurant since humans started settling outside of Earth. There's a lot of history within these walls. And some damn fine food and drink, if I say so myself. This place has been in my family for generations. My however many great-grandmother opened it when the first colony started on Titan. Back then, it was a simple mess hall that she chose to put a little extra love and flavor into. And now, it's the pride of New Homestead.
I'd like to see a menu, please.
Let me show you what we have.
Beer in a juice box. That's funny. Fried pickles.
So long. Tell your friends about us.
That delicious smell is making me hungry. Can I answer anything about the Brown Horse?
I think I'm good to go here.
Okay then. All right, we're headed to the last stop, right back where we began. Feel free to check out the museum exhibit in the main concourse here. These displays are full of rare Earth trinkets salvaged from before humanity left, and Maurice is happy to talk about the collection. The museum's curator, Maurice, will be happy to talk to you if you want to know more. Well, that's that! I hope you enjoyed Starsap Tours as much as I enjoy giving them.
I loved it. Here's a little something extra for you.
Oh, wow. I really appreciate it. You know, I rely on tips from good people like you, so thank you from the bottom of my heart. Enjoy the rest of your stay in New Homestead.
Wow, very generous. As long as you're throwing around money, maybe you wouldn't mind tossing some my way.
Take care!
We take vandalism seriously here. Yep.
Well, hello there, and welcome to my little shop. Are you visiting New Homestead for the first time?
Maybe. Sometimes I party a little too hard and wind up in strange places.
Oh, that's funny. It happens to the best of us, I guess. I'm Jay. I'm happy to help you find what you're looking to buy or take a look at whatever you want to sell. Trades of all kinds are welcome here. Or if you have any questions for me about the shop, the merchandise, or even just New Homestead in general, I'm happy to help you.
Do you sell any souvenirs or anything like that?
We used to, but not anymore. Believe it or not, the New Homestead Tourism Board decided a while back to do away with souvenirs. We don't really have the resources or facilities to make them here ourselves, and it was decided that anything less than that would seem exploitive of our people and inauthentic. Only thing we have are these souvenir slates about the history of New Homestead. Tell you what, I've got an extra one here that another guest left behind a while back. You can have it.
Oh, thanks. What do you think of all the tourists who come to visit New Homestead?
I love them. Most of us in New Homestead appreciate what tourism does for our economic livelihood, so we go out of our way to make guests feel welcome. Some are indifferent about it, while a few others, I won't name names, are downright resentful of all the tourists and would prefer to be left alone. But that being said, I believe our generally friendly demeanor is a large part of what drives people to keep coming back.
You mentioned something about trading. What sort of things are you looking for?
Glad you asked. I'm looking for all sorts of things. Anything, really. Clothing, weapons, jewelry, even stuff they consider junk. You name it. We don't get a lot of off-world stock, so I offer to buy things from travelers. Anything they're willing to part with. Between you and me, people around here talk a lot about tradition and whatnot, but even they get curious about what other worlds have to offer.
I'd like to take a look at what you're selling.
Sure thing. I'm also interested in buying if you have anything for sale. Take care.
Why did the chicken cross the road? Huh? What's a chicken? Knock knock. Who's there? Planet. Planet who? If I throw a party, will you have me planet? Ecliptic mercenary says to a woman, I've been hired to kill you and I always get the job done. Woman says, can't we talk about this, son? How do you keep an idiot in suspense? How do you get a Freestar Collective hick out of a tree? Wave. Louis the Lip Purrs. Bad People, Bad Jokes, Volume 2 is a follow-up to his original work, and just like its predecessor, has become a cult hit. The universe is in chaos. The evil Sarklin, an alien being born of pure hatred, has amassed his secret armies of rain to rain destruction upon the people of the allied worlds. A young man, Zephyrix Laserbrand, is thrust into the conflict, and when he discovers he is the descendant of a great hero and one of the only ones capable of wielding the Dragon Star, a magical weapon capable of defeating Sarklin and bringing peace to the galaxy. But first, it must be found. Call me Ishmael. Some years ago, never mind how long, precisely, having little or no money in my purse, and nothing particular to interest me on shore, I thought I would sail about a little and see what the watery part of the world. So continues Melville's classic tale of revenge and obsession for a total of 341 pages. Soul, the cradle of humanity. Soul, the sun. It's hard to imagine a time where all of humanity lived under one singular sun. But until the mid 22nd century and the invention of the gravity drive, that's all we had. Humans have existed for nearly 200,000 years, and all of them came from a planet called Earth, the third planet in the solar system. Without Earth, you wouldn't be here. Titan Astro Base. The people of Earth first sent an unmanned craft to Saturn's moon, Titan, in 2107. The Titan Astro Base was completed in 2138 to search for life beyond Earth. Though fruitless, it laid the groundwork for what would eventually become humanity's greatest endeavor, settling the universe. Scientists and engineers used Titan to perfect planetary colony building. A new home, an old history. New Homestead was officially established in 2185 as a living memorial to humanity's ingenuity and perseverance. Citizens of the settled systems were invited to visit and learn about our important history. This fascinating approach to education allowed visitors to see how the early colonists lived and worked. Sights to behold. See the majestic icy peaks of New Homestead's frozen land formations as frosty winds blow through the thick clouds overhead. Witness the powerhouse of the UC's most valued methane processing plants. And then warm up with a hot meal at humanity's longest running dining establishment after Earth, the Brown Horse Tavern. In the year 2298, author Paul Lamont released the novel The Fruit Seller, forever cementing his role as the settled system's king of horror. "Come down here, tasty thing," raps the voice from the fruit seller. "I won't hurt you. Oh no, I just want a snack. On your soul." Carly heard the voice in the cabinet, but also in her head. She reached over to slam the trapdoor shut, but something stopped her. Some kind of internal force or urge. Yes, yes, she said as if in a trance. "My soul is delicious. It will be yours." The Light of Stars ran in the summer of 1838. Longfellow's The Light of Stars is a stirring tribute to the cosmos before humanity had ever explored it. Following is a single beautiful stanza. "Within my breast there is no light, but the cold light of stars. I give the first watch of the night to the red planet Mars. Started the unconquered will, he rises in my breast, serene and resolute and still, and calm and self-possessed."
Oh my god, I'm literally following in your footsteps right now. It's so cool.
Achieving orbit now.
Where are we going? What are we doing? What's next?
Be advised, you are entering United Colony space. Please maintain course and prepare to be scanned. And we're done.
Careful down near the mines and enter any active sites here.
Will in. What can I do you for?
Oh, hi there.
When I get older, I'm gonna work in the mines, like my dad did. So I can save up and buy my mom a house somewhere nice.
I heard you helped that little girl, Renee, put up her drawings around town. What a sweet thing to do.
Oh, wow. I can't wait to get that book. Oh, did you find the book? Dragon Star Force Volume 1, The Heroes of the Dragon Star?
Now hold on a second. This one was hard to get. I want a little extra.
I don't know.
I'm really not asking for all that much.
I guess not.
I know you're a very reasonable person.
That doesn't mean I'm a pushover.
No, you're missing the point. I can explain if you just give me a chance.
I heard you the first time and didn't care then either. No, you'll get what we agreed upon. Besides, I need to save money for my next book. Anyway, thanks. You can have my old 3rd edition copy if you want.
While indulging in alcoholic beverages. Not discouraged.
Lots of stuff. Just ask.
Invoices can be collected from the... Oh. Not here for a delivery, are you?
Captain Miklo, Vanguard. I need Percival Walker's help. Investigating a troubling discovery.
Do you now? Well, I do wish I could help you, Captain, but Dr. Walker has been missing for some time.
A shame, too. We had such high hopes for Percival. I brought him on myself to do medical and biological consulting around the city. Not the sort of work the Trade Authority traditionally does. But we thought it had the potential to become a whole new type of revenue stream for our branch. I invested no small amount of personal capital into the endeavor. But then he decided to run off after a discipline issue. I presume the miners have him hidden somewhere. Plenty of cracks on this old rock. But at this point, it's probably for the best.
Why would the miners hide him?
They were all devils. Red Devils. A UC Marine unit based here on Mars, though they were disbanded shortly after the Colony War. I presume a number of them served alongside Dr. Walker. Bonds forged in battle and all that.
What sort of discipline issues are we talking here?
Dr. Walker decided to start brewing and selling his own pharmaceuticals to our customers below cost. Something his contract expressly forbade. As such, we requested our cut of the profits and began garnishing his salary. Perhaps a little too severely, but well within legal limits. It was around then that he ran off, abandoning his duty and his unpaid accounts.
You don't sound particularly interested in finding him.
That's correct. We're no longer interested in Dr. Walker's services. He did leave his post, however, with a sizable debt to his name. If you were to find him and get him to pay, the Trade Authority would be most grateful for it.
Oh, I loathe the Trade Authority. Is it absolutely necessary that we have to help them?
How much does he owe?
Why? Feeling charitable? I don't recall the exact figure off the top of my head, but with the interest it's accrued, I believe it's something substantial. So if you were able to find him and convince him to clear his accounts, you would have our honest gratitude.
I'm not your bill collector. I just need to know how to find him.
I couldn't have put that better myself.
Pity.
Perhaps a little advance on my part might pique your interest. Visit the Sixth Circle, a bar on the lowest level of the city. If someone in Sidonia knows where Percival is, you'll find them there.